Hey guys, so today in this video I wanted to touch back on a prior video because I kind of forgot to mention a couple aspects that I wanted to. So this video is going to be about compassion. It relates to the previous video, which is about suffering. So I was reading, is this book. It's communicating, the art of communicating. It's like from a Buddhist perspective, and basically in the book there's he like talks about suffering, and I didn't like finish the book, but um yeah, so basically there's the compassion. So when you feel suffering, you can learn compassion because now you can empathize with other people who are suffering. And so that's like a big aspect of it. It's like when you're with other people, when you're communicating and around other people, the compassion through the suffering. So like when you go through a lot of suffering, if you confront the suffering, you understand it, and you accept it, then you can start to have like compassion for other people. Whereas like maybe if you ignore it or you don't accept it, you're like trying to just pretend like it doesn't exist, um, or whatever, or like it's maybe it doesn't matter, like you just don't think it matters, whatever it is, then it's harder to have that compassion. But if you think it matters and you see why it's a problem, and you accept it and you confront it, and you also see it more often, because it's also about how often you see it. Like the more often you see it, the more likely your brain is able to remember that thing, and it's going to get re-triggered. So the idea is going to get re-triggered and then triggered again and re-triggered and triggered again. And so it's again going to be easier to have that compassion. And as for how this relates to the suffering again, it's because of that suffering that you're able to feel. It's all about basically the compassion in this example is relating to that suffering. So you're able to relate to it, you're able to empathize with it, and you're willing to endure your own suffering to help other people. Right? It's not like you're doing it just for yourself. Now, again, like you're kind of doing it for yourself, like to feel good, to like, as always, like it's done to feel good about yourself or to make friends or however. But it's like saying like, oh no, people are doing good things so they can feel good about themselves. Like at least they're doing good things. That's a good thing, right? Um so I would say that um the um the compassion is all about related to that suffering, at least in this specific example. And I guess, hmm, I mean, there's like empathy, which is just understanding in general. So it doesn't have to be about suffering. It could be understanding other things. But a big one, like a very strong one, is compassion slash empathizing with suffering. Now, as for um, why this is important, I'd say it's important relating to relationships, and like I guess if you wanted to like look at it from the perspective of like the framework that I came up with, it would be mostly tied to the balance. It's all about balancing the two people in the interaction, right? It's like once as you understand the person, you're more it's like a radio, and you're trying to tune in the frequencies, and you're trying to balance your frequencies to get them closer and closer. This way you can maximize the understanding, because otherwise it's like cracking up. It's like hello, hello, crack, crack, hello, what are you saying, and they can't hear everything you're saying, um because it's like cracking up. But the point is, the closer you get it, then all of a sudden it's just like regular audio. You can hear everything perfectly fine. And so you're just, yeah, you're trying to tune it, and that's kind of the balance. It's like you're tinkering with it, and you're just like, how can I get my empathy and my understanding of the person closer to the reality of how they feel. And yeah, um I don't know, is there, so I would just say, oh yeah, there's another thing I forgot to emphasize in the, I mean, I talked about it a couple of times, but I just want to emphasize it more. A big part of like At least I agree with him, and the guy was because he's more like a real Buddhist. Like I just like learned about it, but he was like emphasizing why it's important to like confront the suffering and really like solve that problem and like accept it, like understand it, and then like like to learn to deal with it and to like basically Buddhism is all about trying to minimize the suffering, and so to do that you need to problem solve it. So yeah, so you want to not ignore it. That's like super important. You do not want to ignore the suffering, because otherwise it's going to continue. That generational cycle, the generational bad energy is just going to keep continuing unless you solve it. And actually, I forgot to also mention this from the last video, but the talking about specifically the suffering a lot more, but the bad energy, aka that suffering, can actually be dealt with. You would think, oh, but doesn't energy recycle itself? But that's assuming you have a closed system. If you have a closed system and it can never escape, then and even there, you can still change. You can still change how it works by moving it around. So, but anyway, it's even easier when it's when it's an open system, or like slightly open system. But anyway, let's say it's a closed system. All you have to do is you have to move around the energy. So the people are being affected by the suffering. If the people can move away from minimize, right? If they can move away from the suffering, the unnecessary suffering. Of course, there's gonna always be the necessary, like thirst, hunger, cold. It's just a part of life. And your brain just tells you those things to keep you alive, to keep you safe. So it's like it's a necessary part of survival. So yeah, survival, to keep you safe, to keep you aware of your surroundings, and it's natural. But yeah, so if you can move away from that bad energy, that suffering, you can learn, and you learn a better way. So if you can learn a better way, then you can create a habituation to that better way. And if you can create a habituation to that better way, the bad energy will it'll kind of like you'll lose that relationship to the bad energy. So it's not that the bad energy literally goes away. It's like you'll still have, like, let's say we gave up technology. The technology would stay there and it would just slowly rot away. So of course it would decay, and that's a way of the bad energy getting destroyed. So yeah, but it's also that relationship, because if you don't have the relationship anymore with the bad energy, then you don't even know how to like turn it into a bad energy, right? So like the technology, if you don't have that relationship with the technology, then you don't even know how to turn it into a bad energy relationship. So I would say, yeah, just like finding a way to get away from the bad energy. Not like, see, again, it's not like you're um, ignoring or escaping the reality. You're just minimizing. You're just saying, oh, all this is unnecessary. All of this is stupid. Like, why the hell do you want to suffer more and more and more and have all this destruction and death and sadness, right? Why you don't need that. So you can get away with that. You can still have to confront the reality of suffering to solve it, to problem solve the suffering, and to deal with it properly. And again, so you confront it, but you don't need all this unnecessary stuff. It's unnecessary. So that stuff goes away, you leave it, and then you start a better system. So you start a better system, better habits, and then you learn it and you remember it, and then you build up a good energy relationship. And again, it's just the relationship, it's just the habits and the system, and slowly you'll you don't want to completely forget about the past. You want to learn from the past. So you still want to remember, like, oh, that was an example of a bad past, a bad way of doing things, and yeah. But anyway, so I would say that's like just, I don't know, like an idea from my perspective. Anyway, so I think that's all I wanted to say. Definitely going back to the compassion. Try to always like I guess I'd just say, like, treat others how you want to be treated. Have compassion for other people, because I'm pretty sure you'd want to also get compassion from other people. And it's like, if you don't like, compassion is like a kind of similar, it's all about communication. It's similar to loneliness or not being alone. So when you have compassion, you're not alone, because now people understand you and they help you and they relate to you. If there's no compassion, it feels like being alone. It feels like you're dealing with all this stuff on your own, because no one wants to help you and no one understands you and empathizes with you. And I don't think any of us like that feeling. So it's really important that we have compassion for other people and try to, um, like, yeah, like to understand each other, help each other, be nice to each other, and etc. Just, yeah, and be there for each other, like the community. So yeah, um, yeah, in the community, and yeah, and being open-minded, definitely being open-minded. That relates to the understanding, and also that relates to the community, because if you're not open-minded, then you won't allow everyone into the community. But if you allow everyone into the community, then there's compassion for everyone, which is super important. So yeah, so this is like the book, if you guys want to read it, The Art of Communicating. I just got it from the libraries. No. So yeah, you could just um anyway, yeah. So um but yeah, so that's all I had to say about um compassion, relating back to specifically the suffering, um and like the compassion slash empathy. So hope you like the video, guys. Um if you want to see more videos related to the general framework and just videos from me, then you can go check out the other videos. I post them all the time. But yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys.